But I've learned a lot about the process. I had no idea how the balls got from the officials' locker room to out on the field and so forth and so on and all that. That's not something that I have ever thought or concerned myself about game day. I've concerned myself with preparing and coaching the team. And so some of the things like that have been talked about that have happened, I mean, I'm totally unaware of.
That was New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick just this morning addressing in his usual terse manner, you can tell, the issue of these deflated balls in last week's AFC Championship game. One of our sports aces, Matt Futterman, is here to talk about it. So, Bill Belichick, you knew nothing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
Did
nothing.
you expect anything else?
No, not really.
Right.
Okay, let's back up for a second.
Sure thing.
Do we know whether or not these balls were really deflated?
Seems that we do. 11 of the 12 balls that were on the Patriots sidelines were not at the level they were supposed to be.
At halftime of the game,
It
right?
would seem to be a little more than a coincidence if 11 of 12 don't meet the standards.
Don't meet the standards. Belichick this morning said he knew absolutely nothing about this. So, yes? No? What do we make of this?
Maybe.
Maybe?
I mean, think about it yourself. If you were cheating, would you tell your boss? It's an interesting question.
I never cheat, Matt.
Right, exactly.
I'll tell you right now,
of course. And neither do I.
Right.
But if you were doing something wrong, you know, you'd probably keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's plausible. But I think the larger issue here is there a sort of culture of trying to get away with stuff in New England? You know, they got caught before.
Is there? I mean, it seems like,
certainly they pushed it. Certainly they went over the line a few years ago when they were filming the sidelines of the opposition. And I mean, they used that, and they got caught. And you would hope that they would have learned their lesson. But I think what probably has the people on Park Avenue at the NFL offices really sort of up in arms is that the message may not have gotten across.
Right.
That it's not okay.
Whether or not Belichick, or whether or not it's provable that Belichick actually knew about it or ordered it, let's assume that the Patriots are found guilty of having done this by the league. What are the possible penalties?
Well, it's hard to believe they'd be eliminated from the Super Bowl. That's probably not going to happen. We'll start there.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually the NFL, when they get annoyed at a franchise, they take away draft picks and they fine them. That's been the general thing. They may suspend the coach if they find him culpable in any way. Even if he's not culpable in any way, they could suspend him because they, you know, say the buck probably has to stop with the coach and there has to be some sort of big penalty that goes out, more than just an equipment manager being fired. So I think that's probably what you were looking at if this does sort of go farther. I think the larger question is what happens to Tom Brady? Was he involved in this?
Right.
I mean, clearly you're not going to be messing with the balls that your quarterback is mostly touching, unless the quarterback knows about it, tells you to do it. So I mean, I think that's the person that you're going to see a lot of this investigation begin to focus on.
When we get past this, and we eventually will, I think the question has to be, what does this mean? And the question is, you know, did this change the outcome of Sunday's game? And is the way the Patriots operate have anything to do with how their games turn out? Are they cheating to win football games?
Again, I think they're doing everything they possibly can to gain every possible advantage without getting caught.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's not take it too far, because look, cheating is part of sports. You know, whether we like it or not. Pitchers have been throwing spitballs for a long time. Baseball players will put, you know, cork their bats.
Right.
You know, pitchers will bring pine tar out to the mound. You know, there's all kinds of little things that people do. In NASCAR, the saying is, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
So there's sort of a culture of this stuff happens. So, you know, instead of getting completely puritanical about it, I think and blowing it out into something that is probably more than it is, you know, they cheated, they should suffer a penalty, and then we'll move on. And people shouldn't cheat.
Right, and if they win in a week and a half, they win. the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think you can be pretty sure that there'll be a pretty close eye on what's happening to the balls.
Right. All right. Nice to talk about the kind of deflation that does not end in a global economic death spiral. It's usually what we talk about here. Matt Futterman, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.